Greetings and salutations. I'm Kes,
And I'm Becca.
and welcome to Act 4. Now, if Among Us triggers a core memory for you back when quarantine was still a thing, and you've been desperately trying to find a movie or something related to it, which is kind of weird, well, the 2022 movie, horror comedy movie by Helena Rage, I think that's how you say her name, will be an instant classic for you because today we are discussing bodies, bodies, bodies.
Okay, so this initial segment focuses on our opinions. We'll begin by summarizing the movie and then provide our thoughts on it. So basically, a group of 20 something ish Gen Z people planned a party while there was a hurricane that was supposed to happen at a remote family's mansion. The party turned into a game that turned into a deadly massacre. Let's put it that way. And it just shows a lot of themes: fake friends, backstabbing, cheating, murder. Basically, a one party that goes completely wrong. The movie was written by Sarah Doley and Kristen Rupinian. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly. And in the cast, we can find Amandla Stenberg as Sophie, Maria Baklalova as B, Rachel Sennott as Alice, Chase Sweet Wonders as Emma, etc., etc., etc. So, Kes, what are your
Yeah.
initial opinions on the movie?
Now, here's the thing with me. I love everything that is so exaggerated and so absurd that it turns out good. You
Yeah.
know, so movies like Heathers or things like that, I am a fan. So suffice this to say that for me, Bodies, 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 what a movie. I love it so much. I could watch it over and over again.
Yeah.
That's the type of vibe. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Honestly, the movie was so good. And the first time I watched it was with you actually a few years ago, if you remember correctly. Yeah, it was a few years ago when it came out, I think 2022. And Kes was like, you have to watch Buddies, Buddies, Buddies. And like we watched it together and I really enjoyed it because like the plot is so different than what I thought it would be. Like I was guessing a lot of things, but it wasn't like exactly what happened. And at one point I was like, oh, maybe he did off himself, but it wasn't my main idea. So I really enjoy the movie in its wholeness.
I feel like people say that it's a Gen Z representation of how Gen Z would act in a situation like that. And I think it's not really so the way that they would act, but it's the way that they would react. Because for me personally, when I watched the first time I saw it was actually in the movies with a friend, sorry. And like it says that it's a horror comedy. So I was already expecting it to be a little funny, but it's the way that it was unfolding that really, I think, really captured my attention. Cuz at first, it started out as a game or oh, let's play bodies, bodies, bodies. And I thought at some point that was going to be the movie. And then they changed it and then things happened. And I think it's because they were already in a murder mindset that they didn't even try to think about what was happening. They were like, oh my God, there's a murderer with us. And I think me as a person, that's how I would react to a scene or
Yeah.
a situation. I'd be like, oh my, what? Coincidentally, people are trying to murder stuff. I've seen enough horror movies and whodunits to know that that's a sign to get out.
Yeah, but honestly, I'd say that I do agree that the movie was more portrayed in the Gen Z vibe, in the sense that the
Yeah.
cast was mostly Gen Zs.
Yes.
The social media aspect was a lot of Gen Z. They were using songs that were trending on TikTok in 2022 when the movie came out. So for me, it was really centered around the generation of Gen Z indeed. But I understand the fact that um I felt like it was more targeted towards me. Like for example, my mom, she would watch that
Yeah.
movie and it would not resonate with her, if you know what I mean.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like it was more towards me, so I get why people would say it's more towards Gen Z, because like
Yeah.
the way that a lot of people, the characters reacted and the way that they were acted throughout the movie was more how Gen Z would act than
Yeah.
how like my mom's generation would act, you know?
Yeah.
So
I agree.
so that's why I understand why people would say it's more like Gen Z, especially like it really captured the way that Gen Z is more involved throughout like social issues and mental
Yeah.
health, and you know, because Gen Z like wants to talk about those things, whereas like
Yeah.
my mom's generation would just put it in the on the back. Oh, mental health, what's that? You know?
Yeah. I think the something that I thought of was sometimes there's a lot of other movies or TV shows who try to like do, oh, this is for Gen Z, and they make it so extreme. Like, I'm not sure in which TV show, but I know that there's one, or they like say use words that like are chronically online words.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, oh my god, slay, or that things like that, but
Mm-hmm.
like they say it unironically,
Yeah.
and they're like, this is Gen Z, but no, it's just, it's like they're trying to like force it down like Gen Z's throat, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
millennial or older people, how they portray and how they see Gen Z instead of how
Mm-hmm.
they act, you know. Like you said, it really like our generation really cares about social issues,
Mm-hmm.
and they included that so perfectly, like with Alice being be like, oh, actually I have body dysmorphia, like that's
Shut
you
up,
know.
Alice.
Like, I think it's just like the fact that she said that just shows like this is what worse our society, our generation is talking about, without actually knowing what the thing is about, because you know everything needs to be sensitive, everybody needs to be like, oh, I'm sorry, or like, oh, you are valid and stuff like that. And I really liked how they did it, and the issues that they were having. Yes.
Yeah, but also I think the way that the characters were so unlikable in their own way was amazing. Like I
I love it.
honestly, I I was watching the movie and I was like, they all look a bit selfish, a bit like they all had
Yeah.
like a lot of issues, but it was so well portrayed that it was good. You know, if it wasn't
Yeah.
well, if it wasn't well written, well directed, and well acted, it would have been annoying. I would have watched that and I would be like, oh my god, they're so annoying.
The cast, yes, they did a good job for like the cast, because like you said, if it wasn't done well, probably it wouldn't have been as enjoyable. You
Mm-hmm.
know? Like if the character didn't look like they were Gen Z,
Mm-hmm.
in a sense, like I don't know, if they casted like Meryl Streep to play
Mm-hmm.
like Alice, I'd be like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
sure. I mean, obviously it would have still been good, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not the same thing. It's
Exactly.
really not the same thing. And Pete Davidson surprised me. Like he
Me
did play a
too.
bit of himself because like he's a funny and
Yep.
goofy guy, but I still really liked like how he did Greg because you could see that Greg was just an annoying, selfish person and like you know over exaggerated who finished by like ending himself and because he did like a
You mean
stupid thing.
David? Greg is the older guy.
David, that's true, that's true, that's true, that's true, that's true, David. Oh my god, yes, David.
Greg is my man, okay?
Oh
Best
my god,
character there
they
is.
did Greg so wrong.
Dude,
Oh,
just poor him. Like, he just wanted to take a little nap after being literally humiliated in front of
yeah,
kids,
yeah.
and he got clocked for it.
They
But
did him so wrong, honestly. But I mean, he was like in his 40s dating like a
yeah,
20 something.
that is
It's
a
just
little
like,
also weird.
yeah, but he didn't deserve to die. He did not deserve to die. That guy was
Okay.
sweet. Yeah. So, that's basically what I thought. The movie was also well shot. Honestly, I
Oh,
felt
yeah.
like sometimes I felt like it was really going to be like horror and jump scare, but it wasn't technically what they wanted to go for. But like the way it was shot made you think that there was something coming sometimes. So
Yeah.
I liked that. And also, you know, there was so like little light but yet
Oh,
it was so well shot, you know, because it was like
yes.
mostly in the dark. You didn't have a lot of light. Most of the time they would use like their phone, but it was really
Yes.
well made. And yeah, so yeah, I like the movie. I like the suspense. I like the ending because the first time I watched it with Cass, I was so surprised that the guy just like off himself. I remember being like, "What?"
It's such a dumb yet smart choice to make for the movie. And
Mm-hmm.
for him to just like die by himself,
Mm-hmm.
like, so smart. It was
Yeah.
unexpected. Obviously, there are people who could have predicted it, but because just like them were in the, oh, there's a murderer aspect, we
Mm-hmm.
don't really think about it. Or like
Yeah.
we brush off the idea that it's gonna be him.
Mm-hmm.
And for it to be, I think it's just genius and it's well thought. And whoever came up with that plot twist, you deserve all the Oscars. I mean, all the awards there is.